Optimus. Optimus Prime. Transformers head ass. Is he serious? Hi, Robot. Look at one of the movie recommendations.
In this episode, a new race is sprouting right next to Optimus Gen 3, coolest robot in the world, or what? What do we know about it so far? Gen 3 is a robot that you could actually potentially buy, and it will
What the
feature a
hell?
new, according to Musk, exquisite design. It's not that the
It
robot
looks
isn't
slick.
beautiful enough at the moment. Engineers are said to be bringing Optimus architecture to quote-unquote the right solution. Basically, movement. That is,
It looks
without
pretty
making
clean.
components. We appreciate the full scale from household help to struggle to perform even simple tasks.
See a
And we
bunch of
think
those, the early.
ecosystem built around it. That's not a reason to believe, it's a reason to watch closely. Musk has the infrastructure, the experience, and an army of engineers.
I can see how controlling it from home with your phone when you're at work to do chores for you. It's pretty crazy. Its bionic arm is revolutionary prosthetics. I saw this the other day
It has nails.
with the guys from was it Africa? Who were like Tony Stark status, building stuff out of wood and scraps and trash. Old trash electronics. They built like a whole arm. And they have like a whole they call it, what did they call it? They call it Afro something. Afro synthetics or something like that. The AI they were using.
Wrinkles and fingerprints, but this
That
is not
looks
actually
crazy.
a human hand. This is the Obobong hyper-realistic bionic arm. Businesswoman Gift Uzun is the first to try it out.
When we are launching it, will be my greatest happiness ever. I feel so good, like I'm happy. Finally, I'll have like 2 hands.
This innovative technology detects signals that the brain sends to different muscles in the hand. The laboratory was initially founded by the Amanam brothers, who
wild.
were looking to solve a very personal problem.
Ubobong was born out of the quest to solve
Synths. Cyborgs. Soon enough they could probably use real synthetic flesh. Attach it to your own flesh. As far as the flesh being like cyborg, right? Synthetic flesh. I don't know, it's just
an
gonna be
individual
crazy.
need from my younger brother Ubobong, who lost his arm,
Terminator.
his fingers to
It's
an accident
Terminator.
some years ago. So Ubobong decided to invent
This is
idea
fucking
called the
Terminator
Ubobong
coming into
Bionics
existence.
to add functionality to our already made hyper-realistic prostheses.
The product is after years of research in the final stages of development. The hand is now strong enough to carry handbags.
Watch, they're gonna be
onto the
lifting
wrist
people
of
with
its
one hand.
designer.
I know how it feels.
Of course, that
like
wouldn't
to
work.
lose
Never
the
mind.
body
Your whole body would have to
and
be
no matter how
bionic.
small it is. It's very painful, and I feel so fulfilled.
Or who
I feel
knows?
so fulfilled, and
For sure, your grip would
it
be
gives
super
me
strong. You
joy
could probably crush
to
someone's
see
head
I
with the
can put
bionic
smile
hand.
on someone else's face.
The Amanam brothers' fusion
Or
of
crush their
technology,
arms or hands.
cultural
Be like,
identity, and artistry marks a new chapter in prosthetic development.
humanoid clone. I don't know. Crown of Cragland. Spray on sneakers. What the hell? Is this real? Someone says that China was sending weapons to Russia. I don't know how true that is.
The latest generation of Chinese weapons seen on display, designed to win any future
Bro, those missiles?
conflict.
Looks like torpedoes. What are those?
Domestically made, the focus very much on unmanned systems.
That's a drone.
long-range
That looks like a UFO.
strike and anti-drone warfare. New long-range nuclear missiles like the DF-61 were seen for the first time.
These are kind of indicative of China's efforts really to introduce new ballistic capability that is able to go farther, probably up to about 15,000 kilometers, and is more powerful and is more flexible because some of these missiles are able to be integrated with several warheads.
Oh, hell no.
On display were a whole range of ground, sea, underwater and aerial drones. Focusing on high-end autonomous weapons like the FH-97 unmanned combat
Those are
aircraft,
crazy.
designed to fly with piloted jets running missions alongside them, together with the JG-13 Sharp Sword long-range strike drone.
Soon enough, they're gonna use AI to control them. Smart weapons. Auto shoot. Guns are gonna have auto aim. Auto aim and auto shoot. You don't even have to pull the trigger anymore, probably. You're just the one arming and manning the freaking gun.
Also seen were unmanned submarines and uncrewed naval vessels, as
Those
well
are
as
sick.
robot ground
That looks like Roblox.
vehicles. Hypersonic missiles featured heavily,
Look like Roblox.
with several models on display.
They're on creative mode. They're doing some other shit.
All designed to sink large ships like cruisers or aircraft carriers. Laser weapons made their debut at the parade.
Laser
Built
weapons to
down
shoot
drone
down.
swarms, the lessons of the Ukraine war and the
They're using lasers. That's smart. There's a kid in the US, 21, who got a grant by the US Army or something. He was using balloons as and missiles pretty much as anti-aerial drone technology. Or like bombs you shoot in the air and explode all the drones. But dude, a laser system sounds so much better. Especially if it's one that shoots multiple lasers. I just imagine shooting a bunch of lasers, shooting all the drones at once.
heavy use of drones by both sides very much a guiding focus. Xi Jinping has always said China's armed forces must prepare for war fighting with a focus on winning any future conflict. These new weapons on display are a
Well, like
big
invasion.
step towards creating the world-class military that Xi says he wants. Alex Kotopoulos, Al Jazeera.
Don't miss out and get the full picture.
Oh, hell no. That shit's scary looking at their videos. Victory Day Parade. Victory from what? Oh, since World War Japan's. Nuclear fusion. I thought they already had that.
California homeowners, if you could get backup batteries for your home from your power
But that was already a
company
thing.
at no extra cost, would you take them?
I mean, you're already paying an electric bill, right? Wouldn't it be nice to get backup power too, so you're never left in the dark?
Well, now you can by switching to the brand new VPP program. And you'll even save money in the process.
So wait, what's...
In a laboratory south of Montreal,
I
Canada,
thought it was already a
scientists
thing.
are busy trying to build the pathway for a new energy solution. Fuse is a startup on an incredibly tricky mission to commercialize nuclear fusion, and we've been granted exclusive access.
Wait, so it exists, but
Right
it's not
here is,
commercialized?
our assembly area.
Fusion is
I'm assuming. How are nuclear submarines? Nuclear submarines are powered by nuclear reactors that use nuclear fission. That's fusion, though. Are powered by nuclear fusion? Not powered by nuclear fusion. Okay. It's fission. Let's not get confused now. Nuclear submarines are not powered by nuclear fusion. Nuclear fission reactors, which allow them to operate for extended periods without refueling. But they're going to develop fusion technology or for some. Now let's look it up. Does fusion, nuclear fusion exist? Let's see. Yes, nuclear fusion exists and it's a process. Powers the sun and other stars. Wait, so nuclear fusion reactors mimic stars and therefore can possibly create a black hole if goes horribly wrong, right? This nuclear fusion. Where is nuclear fusion? Where? Used. Space exploration and scientific research offering clean and virtually limitless energy source. Abundant fuel supply. Space exploration. NASA is investing to use small-scale fusion reactors for powering deep space missions. Fusion pulse. Bro. Scientific research. Nuclear fission is being researched and developed in several countries. So it's not even a thing yet. It's still being researched and developed. Japan, the National Institute of Fusion. Is this AI or is this... Should I look it up on AI? I should have asked if it is being used. If it's even being used in the first place. Nuclear fission power is not being used commercially anywhere in the world. It is still in the experimental and research stage. So, what is it? Is it being... If it means experimental and research, well, testing. I wonder what kind of tests they found about it. It's probably top secret, right? Each country wants to figure it out first. It's a race. It's competition. ITER, France, the world's largest experimental fusion reactor under construction, aiming to show one in the 2030s. Nuclear fusion. JET, the UK, the Joint European Torus, recently set records for sustained fusion energy, but is primarily a research facility. So they have sustained fusion energy from it. I wonder what they used it for, or what they used the energy to power when they run the tests. Or like, let's say it does work and they're just keep testing it. They don't want like, that's wild. NIF, U.S. California. Oh, California? The National Ignition Facility uses powerful lasers and achieved ignition in 2022, but it's not an energy plant. It's experimental. Lasers. K-Star, South Korea. A superconducting tokamak has set records for plasma confinement time. East China. The artificial sun tokamak also breaking records for high temperature plasma. Artificial sun. Crazy. Private companies, dozens world. '30s. Private companies. There's private companies, dozens worldwide, like Commonwealth Fusion Systems, TAE Technologies, Helion Energy, First Light Fusion are building prototypes aiming for the first commercial. So they're allowed to do it commercially? Private companies? I feel like you need permission from the government, right? To handle those kind of materials? Of course, they don't want you making weapons, right? No electricity on the grid yet comes from fusion. This is not even a. This is black. Nah. This is Fallout. These companies sound like from Fallout. Commonwealth Fusion Systems. That's the fucking Fallout. The Commonwealth. Bruh. All projects are experimental, trying to prove it's possible to generate more energy than they use. Do you want me to give you a timeline of when the first fusion power plants will actually start supplying energy? Yes. And please explain. Explain the discovery of fusion power. Uh, Nuclear fusion power. Got it. Let's break it into two parts. Discovery of nuclear fusion power. 1920s. Early idea. Idea. So is this fact or is this an idea of yours, ChatGPT? British astrophysicist Arthur Eddington proposed that stars shine by fusing hydrogen into helium. So what we're looking at is helium. Fusing hydrogen into helium. He didn't know the exact process, but he was right that fusion powers the sun. So suns are just giant nuclear reactors. Fusion reactors, I mean. Fusing hydrogen into helium. 1930s, first proof. So that was the early idea. First proof was in the 30s. In 1934, Mark Oliphant, working with Ernest Rutherford, was the first to demonstrate fusion reactions in a lab by bombarding deuterium nuclei. 1938-1939. Stellar fusion theory. Hans Bethe, I don't know how to pronounce that, worked out the two main fusion processes in stars, the proton-proton chain and the CNO cycle. He won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1967 for this. 1950s, fusion on Earth. Okay, 1950s. So this is like the theme of Fallout, because in Fallout the 50s is it's like when they started using nuclear power and all that stuff. Scientists began building magnetic confinement machines, tokamaks in the USSR, which China is currently using in South Korea. Tokamaks in the USSR, stellarators in the US. At the same time, uncontrolled fusion was used in hydrogen bombs. So that was an uncontrolled fusion. I thought I thought the nuclear bombs were the split of atoms. Controlled peaceful energy production remained elusive. Hold up. Because it says at the same time uncontrolled fusion was used in hydrogen bombs. We'll ask what is nuclear fusion. We'll finish this. Since then, progress has been steady but slow. The physics is known, but achieving net energy gain has been the big challenge. Here's the expected roadmap when fusion might start powering homes. 1920s now. Experimental breakthrough. NIF USA achieved ignition in the 2022. Several startups are building compact reactors. Helion, CFS, TAE. Okay, that's one we heard earlier. Private companies. A lot of private companies. 2030s, first generation power plants. Private companies aim to conduct the first small-scale fusion plants to the grid, likely producing tens to hundreds of megawatts. Governments will run giant experimental reactors like ITER, which should show net gain by mid-2030s. I wonder if it's going to affect technology. Or does the nuclear power, nuclear energy travel through our homes? How is that? Would that be safe? Or does the nuclear radioactive shit just happen in the plant? And the plant produces pure energy, but how do they? That's wild. I don't know how that works. I don't even know if electricity can get. Nah, I'm tripping out. Who knows how that works? That's wild. 2040s. In early plants succeed, commercial fusion plants could spread. Renewables and fission, which is like nuclear subs or fission plants, like The Simpsons, right? Costs could start to drop, and the grid scale projects could build into homes. Dude, imagine. What year do the Fallout games take place? Bombs take place. The day. 2077. 2050, as they're saying. Fusion could become a major part of global energy, providing limitless, clean, safe power without long-lived radioactive waste. What is nuclear fusion? Is the process where two light atomic nuclei combine, fuse to form a heavier nucleus, releasing huge amounts of energy. It's the reaction that powers the sun and stars. On Earth, the most common fuse hydrogen isotopes. Deuterium found in seawater. Deuterium can be bred from lithium. Yo! What was it? Didn't they like find stuff on the seafloor that could be valuable? In seawater. Extreme conditions, very high temperatures and pressures, make positively charged nuclei collide hard enough to overcome their natural. They said they did it with an atomic bomb. A nuclear fusion that was unstable. So I'm assuming when they collided, they just collided and destroyed each other. Like helium. No greenhouse gases during operation. So helium? Unlike fission, it can't melt down. If something goes wrong, the reaction just stops. Oh. Fuel supply. Deuterium from water and lithium from tritium could power millions of years. Produce much less long lived. Dope. So fission splits heavier nuclei. It breaks down. Ultimate power. Yes. Want me to explain fusion versus fission side by side? Pretty dope. ChatGPT's pretty tight. Fission versus fusion. Definition. Nuclear fusion. Two light nuclei, like hydrogen isotopes, fuse into a heavier nucleus, like helium. And they're saying the sun, the light that from the sun is produced by this. The helium, pretty much. Nuclear fission. A heavy nucleus, like uranium. Oh, okay, that's where we get uranium. 235, or plutonium. The Simpsons, right? Splits into smaller nuclei. Where it happens naturally. In the stars and sun for nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion happens in the stars and sun. Nuclear fission, not naturally common, happens in radioactive decay and in nuclear reactors. Radioactive decay is not natural. Of course, we use it as a fuel source. Energy released very high. Nuclear fusion is very high energy release, much more than fission per fuel mass. Nuclear fission is high, but less than fusion per unit mass. Nuclear fusion, the fuel, hydrogen isotopes, deuterium, which is found in the ocean water, they said seawater, and tritium, lithium, as they said. Nuclear fission's uranium and plutonium. Byproducts. Nuclear fusion is helium. Harmless, some neutrons. So is that negative, like the neutrons? Nuclear fission. Radioactive waste that can last thousands of years. Nuclear fission. Safety. Nuclear fusion is inherently safe. If conditions aren't extreme enough, the reaction just stops. Nuclear fission. Risk of meltdowns like Chernobyl, Fukushima, if cooling controls fails. Hell no. Stage of development. Nuclear fusion. Still experimental. ITER, INIF, private companies experimenting on it. Nuclear fission. Commercially used worldwide in nuclear power plants since the 1950s. 100 years till we get to fusion is what they're predicting. Becoming commercially used. Potential. Nuclear fusion, near limitless clean energy for millions of years. Fuck. Fission, reliable energy, electricity, but limited uranium supply and long-lived waste. Not good. That what powers the sun? Sun power. The power of the sun in the palm of my hands. That's what he was trying to do, Doc Ock. Was from Spider-Man. I'm thinking of the movie. Accomplish. Still spelled it wrong. Yes, in Spider-Man 2, 2004. I remember that shit. Dr. Otto Octavius, Doc Ock, was indeed trying to accomplish nuclear fusion. I remember that shit. Here's the breakdown, his goal. He wanted to create a sustainable fusion reactor to provide the power of the sun in the palm of the hands. But of course, he almost made a black hole, right? He was gonna blow the city up, I think. We'll get into that. They'll probably tell us he wanted to create sustainable. He used tritium. Yo. Used in fusion research. A small experimental reactor was supposed to generate clean, limitless energy. What went wrong? The miniature sun he created became unstable. Powerful magnetic fields. Does that actually happen? Like when they create nuclear fusion? A successful reaction? It kept growing and feeding itself instead of being contained. Oh. Well, this is the movie, of course. It created its own magnetic field. Wouldn't the Earth's magnetic field affect its magnetic field? You would have to like isolate it in like a vacuum chamber or something. It kept growing and feeding itself instead of being contained. In reality, this happens because fusion is extremely hard to control. You need massive magnetic confinement. Tokamaks. Oh, that's what those things are. Magnetic confinements are tokamaks, which China and South Korea are currently using and testing on. And then the ones in California, The research facilities in Cali are using lasers, right? Inertial fusion to keep it stable. Lasers? That's out of a trip. Science versus movie. Real fusion reactors can't grow like a black hole or magnetically suck in entire cities. Oh, okay. So he was making a black hole. Movie was inspired by real fusion research, using tritium magnetic confinement. So yes, Doc Ock was trying to create nuclear fusion power, but the movie dramatized. Yes. Please explain the difference between Doc Ock's fusion reactor in Spider-Man 2 versus real-world fusion reactors. Yo, ChatGPT's pretty tight. The problem is people use it to plagiarize. When I'm doing his research, right? Like I would use for Google. I think I'm not too sure because I'm just starting school, my classes. Even when I went the last time, I didn't experience anything with ChatGPT. That was like years ago, but I'm sure it's been a few years now. It's been a problem. Like having it write entire essays for you, or like answer all the questions for you. This research shit is pretty cool. I wonder how accurate it is. I mean, I'm assuming it gets all its data and information from the internet. But doesn't AI also use like data like from like cell phones or like people's search history data and all the other shit? Or like does it get like from YouTube videos or like all the social media? Does AI use all that? Or where does AI, where do these companies get their data from for AI to learn and shit? So Doc Ock's fusion reactor. Fiction. Size, small, tabletop machine. The power of the sun in the palm of my hands. No, it wasn't a tabletop machine. In the movie, he had it like in a big thing. It was like a bit. I get what you mean, like a room, like the side, like a bed or some containment. Four mechanical arms held in place. Fuel, a real fusion fuel. So tritium is a real fusion fuel, which isn't a fictional part of the movie. They got inspired by it. The containment, four mechanical arms held in place. When unstable, it would pull into metal and grew uncontrolled. Metal. Result became self-sustaining and dangerous, threatening to consume the city. Science issue. Real fusion doesn't feed itself like a fire. It requires constant external energy to keep it going. Oh, that's when people, right? Humans. I get it. They use tritium. So tritium fuels the fusion reaction. And they're saying it lasts longer, right? It's a slower burn, I guess. Interesting. Real fusion reactors, such as ITER, NIF, etc. Size huge. ITER France is a 30-meter tall tomac weighing over 20,000 tons. Tomac. Massive magnetic confinement. So giant magnets. So the ITERF in France is a 30-meter tall Magnet weighing over 20,000 tons. Fuel, deuterium from seawater, and tritium. Bread from lithium. So lithium, we can get tritium. Containment. Tomax stellar rotators use super strong magnetic fields to hold super hot plasma up to 1500 million Celsius. Holy laser fusion. NIF, I think that's California, uses 192 powerful lasers to compress a fuel pellet to extreme density. So far, no commercial electricity yet, only experimental burst of fusion. Safety, if systems fail, the plasma cools instantly. Rather than fission, where it takes longer to decay, right? Which is dangerous. What makes it so dangerous? The meltdowns. And they're saying plasma cools instantly. That's pretty dope. That's badass. So they use the lasers and they just shoot a little pellet and compress it till they get the reaction. So they use magnetic fields to heat it up. Let's look up Tomax. Key differences: Stock Ox, small handheld skies. Real fusion reactors, massive facilities. Tomax, laser labs. Fuel, tritium only. Real fusion reactors use tritium plus deuterium. So deuterium from ocean saltwater. Tritium is a result from lithium, created with by lithium. Doc Ox reactor, containment, robotic arms, fictional. Magnetic fields, lasers. Containment, lasers. I'm thinking of CT scans, how they have those giant things spinning around. Is that the same thing? I'm going to look it up right now. Stability, Doc Ox reactor, grows uncontrollably. Real fusion reactors stops immediately if conditions aren't maintained. Energy output, instant city destroying. Short bursts, not yet powering homes. Jeez. Doc Ock's vision was scientifically inspired but exaggerated. Real fusion is harder, much larger, and much safer than what the movie showed. Do you want me to show you, make a fun time that shows? Yes. ChatGPT's on it, bro. Locked in. That's what's up. Doc Ox versus version. Oh, I thought they were gonna show a picture. It makes sense having a magnet, creating a whole magnetic field. A sun. You're creating a sun. Straight up legit a sun. This is how big it is? Jeez. And this is the inside of it? And this is where they keep the fuel? This is huge. Look at the 3 stories. Can you see that? That's the little chamber we saw. Here are several photos of Tomac. Yes. They could label it for me. A diagram. And then we're going to look at the other ones. What's the other thing called? The Tomacs and the lasers. Laser fusion. Vacuum vessel plasma chamber. So this is where the plasma is created. The torus donut-shaped shell inside the machine. So this whole chamber is where the plasma spins. Holds the plasma in a vacuum so particles don't collide. So don't collide with air. Oh, it's a vacuum chamber. So are they suspended? How do vacuum chambers work like that? Like large magnetic coils wrapped around the donut shape. So these are the magnetic coils. And this is the plasma field. This is the magnetic field created. Large magnetics wrapped around the donut shape, going around the long way. Creates a magnetic field looping around the torus. Toroidal field helps confine plasma. Field coils. Colloidal field coils. Magnetics arranged around the outside, sometimes above and below or short around the donut. Toroidal and colloidal. Oh, toroidal's the blue. So these are magnets, the blue. That's such a trip. Central solar is upseat and shape the plasma. Donuts. Think of Homer because he worked at a fission plant. A donut. Think about it, nice and crispy on the inside. Nice and soft and fluffy. And moist like plasma. Laser fusion. Laser fusion machine. Photo. Here are some photos of National Ignition Facility. That's the one in Cali, right? Yep, California, USA. World's most powerful laser system. Uses 192 laser beams focused into a spherical chamber. In December 2022, NFI achieved ignition, producing more energy from fusion than lasers delivered to the fuel at world's first. What the hell? So those are the lasers, and they're shooting at that. What the hell? That looks so crazy. Dude, that shit looks like you're gonna find all the fucking mutants in that room, bro. Locate all mutants. There are some photos of National. A diagram with labels. Diagram. So this is what we're looking at right now. So those laser beams are shot through those holes, right? And the fuel pellets in the middle. And the outside's coolant. It's a vacuum chamber. So all those are lasers shooting at this pellet. The tip of this. What the hell? Fuel capsule pellet. So the pellet, the fuel pellet, usually containing deuterium, tritium fuel. The target to be compressed and heat so fusion can occur. I'm thinking of One Piece right now. Yo, I got a theory for One Piece. The devil fruits. One Piece takes place in the future. In a post-apocalyptic future. This is where I'm getting at. This is where I'm getting at. This is where I'm getting at. So in One Piece, people who eat devil fruit cannot go in salt water. Of course, it's because they have something called sea prism stone, right? Sea prism or something like that. Sea stone. But sea stone's found in the water, right? Here's my theory. Could the devil fruits... Of course, it's all fictional, right? But I feel like it's inspired by real stuff. Or like real science, right? Science fiction and shit. Could it be radioactive mutated fruit? That gives you powers, right? And here's where I'm getting at. I don't know if I'm crazy. Because deuterium is part of like fusion, nuclear fusions, fission too. They use water a lot, I think. Nah, I'm just thinking. I don't know. I don't know if you guys see what I'm trying to explain here. Because there's a lot of influence of real world stuff in this show, which is why I love it. Like a lot of history and shit like that. Of course, they have different. Of course, it's a fictional show. but a lot of influence, different religions, cultures. Of course, I always thought like of the devil fruits as like mutations, like mutated like fruit, right? Radioactive. And let's say they are radioactive, right? Its water is known to have deuterium. It's found in salt water. Let's say in this fictional universe, since the devil fruit radioactivates your blood and mutates it, you become radioactive, right? Mutated, a mutant. The radiation, the mutation is what's the right word? It's nullified by the salt water because it contains deuterium. But even though it's a fuel, that doesn't make sense because it's a fuel. Wouldn't it just make them even stronger? If this is the real comparison I'm trying to make to the real world, to the show. I'm thinking of like fission reactors now and how they use a lot of water to cool it down, right? To control it and contain it. Let me look it up. It could be nuclear fission from the nuclear fission. Need water to control. Yes, most nuclear fission reactors need water, and they use it for two main reasons. Cooling the reactor core. Okay. When uranium and plutonium, that's like one main obvious reason, right? So when uranium or plutonium nuclei split, they release huge amounts of heat. I'm assuming this is what nuclear warheads use, right? They use fission reactions, unstable fission reactions, which cause huge explosions. I could be wrong. I think they're different now. Water circulates through the reactors to absorb the heat. The hot water is steam that drives turbines to generate electricity. Without water, the fuel would overheat and potentially melt. So this is what happened in Fukushima. There wasn't enough water. They didn't have water at all. Neutron moderation in many reactors. In addition to cooling, ordinary light water in most reactors also acts as a moderator. Neutrons produced in fission are very fast. To cause more fission in uranium 235, they need to be slowed down. Water moderates the neutrons, making the chain reaction stable and efficient. Thinking of the devil fruit, if it's fission, and when they go in the water, and the reason why they can't use their power in the water, it's because it's stabilizing the radiation in their bodies from the fruit, or whatever the freaking fruits has, or something. Because I don't think they explained where devil fruit really come from. Of course, Joker was making artificial ones, but that's artificial. And of course, we don't know the One Pieces. It could be linked to the devil fruits. Have they? I forgot what they said. The devil fruits are like. They said they're created like. It goes into like the religion of the show, I think. Because when someone dies with the devil fruit can only be grown again when that person who has it dies. And I'm guessing the spirit or whatever of the fruit goes back and grows again. Didn't they say they're like demonic or something? Pretty sure that's why they're called devil fruits. They're like thinking of it of a science way is pretty cool. Different reactor types in water. Pressurized water reactors use water under high pressure as both coolant and moderator. Boiling water reactors. Water boils inside the core to directly produce steam. Heavy water reactors use heavy water DTO as a moderator and coolant. Gas cooled. Do need water. Both carry heat in many cases to control the nuclear chain reaction. Oh, that's a pretty cool theory I just thought of. The reason why sea stone or like the salt water, like if we were to make this into like compare it to like real world influence, they could be radioactive. They could either be like nuclear fission or fission, most likely. Because in fusion, they don't need water. They just use magnets or lasers. In fusion reactors, they don't need water. Fission, however, they need water to control it. As a moderator, they said. Or else it becomes too unstable. The devil fruit are pretty badass, bro. That show is so badass. I'm still waiting for the new episode. I'm so caught up now. That's my theory though. The devil fruits could be inspired by real life, like radioactive mutations, right? From either like nuclear fission or I think it's fission. Since they're affected by water in the show, and then in real life water is used as a moderator to control nuclear fission reactors, as well as cool them down, right? But that's the whole point. It calms people down in the show, the salt water. Like they become weaker too. It controls them. It calms them down. Bruh. That's my theory for look at this. Now that I'm looking at it, they look laser fusion. And then we look up what does nuclear fission look like. We'll look that up. It looks pretty crazy. What does it look like? Dev fruits look like freaking. They look like freaking nuclear. What do you call those? Atoms? Am I onto something? Look at the devil fruit and compare it to one of these. They look like just bundles of neutrons, right? Of atoms. They all look like that, like the little swirls. They just look like that. They all have the little swirls. And look at his artificial ones. They have dots. Look. Nuclear fission. I mean, look at what fusion looks like. Real life. Yeah, those are devil fruits. The little freaking little bundles. Nuclear reactor. Jeez. And that's what Joker's plans look like. Yo, and then when they're in Wanu, because Wanu, with all the factories poisoning the land, makes so much sense. We look at the Simpsons too, the nuclear fission plants. Then we find out the One Piece is a nuke. Imagine. On some Planet of the Apes shit. Remember in Planet of the Apes, the classic ones? Like, I think it was the second one where they come across the people worshipping the nukes. And they gain, like, superpowers, telekinetic powers from the nukes. That was a good movie. I'm telling you, this is devil fruits. The swirls and everything. Bruh. That's my theory. We got this all from this video.
It's a process that occurs naturally inside the sun, and it's what powers it. When two atomic nuclei combine, they release energy. Here on Earth, scientists have been trying to recreate that for almost a century. But
Jeez
now,
Louise.
in the midst of trade wars and with our environment hanging in the balance, the race is on.
Unlocking fusion power
That's crazy.
is going to be technology that will propel humanity and unlock civilization prosperity for centuries.
The promise? Virtually limitless and more or less clean
Limitless.
energy. For the nation that
It's pretty
cracks
tight.
it, energy independence and a windfall of riches. They've built...
Chinese scientists just turned seawater into uranium. What the fuck?